Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another video for Infinite Lagrange. This video has been sponsored by NetEase, and today we're going to be taking a look at everything you need to know about gathering resources. Now, yes, I've titled this video Everything You Need to Know About Mining, but there is a lot more to gathering resources than just that. We will of course be looking at things like the different types of engineering ships, how they work and what their stats all mean, and how to get the most out of mining, especially looking at things like the different mining platforms, etc., plus a few tips sprinkled in there as well. But there is more to this than just mining. We're going to be looking at all of the different ways that you can gather the resources that you're going to need in order to build and upgrade your base and to build and maintain your fleet. Now, if you are enjoying the Infinite Lagrange content on this channel, please let me know by hitting like on it, subscribe to the channel for all things Infinite Lagrange, ding the notification bell and make sure you have ticked all notifications. If you want to go the extra mile to help support this channel as well, we do have a Patreon page where you can pledge to support and you'll learn all about my life in Africa and start earning your way towards some really cool Cat Skull merchandise. And beyond that as well, on the subject of merchandise, we do have a Redbubble merchandise store. Anyway, with all that said and done then, let's jump into talking about how to gather resources, starting off with mining. We're going to look first of all at the different types of utility ship that you will use in order to do this. So if we go into blueprints, and rather than into ship blueprints, we're going to go into utility ship blueprints here at the top right. Now you'll see that there are three different types of utility ship in Infinite Lagrange. You cannot get any of these through blueprints, you will have the blueprints for all three of these right away at the start of your journey. You'll only have access to the small utility ship, the X8, to start off with, so let's have a look at this one first. Now, I am assuming that you've watched my video on what ship stats all mean. If you haven't, pause this video, check the link at the top of the screen or in the description now, jump and watch that video, because you'll need to know basically what all of this is first of all, then we'll come back to this one. Done that? Awesome. So we can now skip over things like what main version number, tech points, and the different types and all of that mean, and we can go straight to looking at the stats along the bottom of the screen. Now, the basic stats and combat roles, these are things that we've discussed in that other video, so you should have a basic understanding of what all of those mean already. Certainly, they are basically the same. When you look at things like flight velocity and warp speed, it's the same here between like a utility ship as it would be on any other ship. What differs between utility ships and standard ships is the bottom leftmost box, which has changed from combat stats to engineering stats, and this is divided into three subcategories. First of all, we have storage. This is how much space your utility ship actually has in it in order to carry things. I'm saying things because you can use utility ships to do the daily quests and things for local cities where you transport stuff to their outposts, etc. But for the most part here, the things that this is going to be carrying are of course ores. When you send a utility ship out to start mining, it will go out there and the little UAVs will fly out, gather ores, and will continue to do so until the storage is full. Once the storage has been filled, the ship, the small utility ship in this case, will turn around and fly back to base to offload those materials. Now that's where a bigger storage is going to come in handy, and you can see here I have enhanced my storage quite considerably. This is so that there's more time spent in the belt, mining, gathering those resources, then coming back. There's less time travelling, basically. The travelling is a smaller percentage of the ship's mining cycle. Now, you can obviously upgrade propulsion as well, which I've also done, but I do recommend starting off with upgrading the storage, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. The second stat here is the engineering stat. Now, this is how quickly this utility ship is able to construct outposts and platforms and things like that. Basically the build command when you're doing stuff like building platforms, as you'll see later. The higher the engineering stat, the faster that they are able to complete that build operation. Now, this is not something that can be affected through enhancements at time of writing. If you go through all of the stuff here that you can enhance on an X8 small utility ship, nothing will increase its engineering. Finally, at the bottom we have its mining level. Here you can see that the X8 small utility ship has a basic mining level of 2. This is what level asteroid this ship is capable of mining. This means if you look into a resource node, you start looking at your different asteroids, etc., you'll see that some of them are level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, all the way up to level 6. There is no way currently for you to upgrade this either. This means that the X8 small utility ship can only mine resource nodes of level 2 or smaller, and we will see that later on. There are ways that you can reduce the level of a mining node, but not a way that you can increase the mining level of a ship. Now, when you have one of these, I do recommend, as I said, upgrading first of all the engineering UAV system. You cannot put in individual upgrades like with the combat things. You can't put in a combat ship or anything like this. You will only earn tech points as the ship proceeds to mine. The longer it's in an asteroid resource node mining, the faster your ships will level up, and obviously the more of them you have as well, the faster they aggregate that experience together. Now, looking at the enhanced systems here, you have basically two different options with the X8 small utility ship. Two of them are mining equipment optimizations, which increase all the UAV mining speed by 20%, so they mine 20% faster. The other three are warehouse expansions that increase the module storage capacity by 80%. Now you see here for these I have gone straight through into here with a full 80% warehouse expansion 3 times. That to me, of the 4 upgrades that you can have, the warehouse expansion is statistically the better one. It means there is more time for you sitting in that belt gathering resources. As there's only 3 of those, we go for the mining equipment optimization just to speed things up a little at the end there. But in fairness, by the time you start upgrading these to this kind of level, you should be about reaching the medium side. I did eventually go back and add in the warp drive enhancements as well, just to get them in and out of the fields that little bit faster, and you'll see you do get left over currently with 2 tech points. Now the other two are very, very similar. You've got the medium utility ship here, which you can see gets a lot more storage. This goes all the way up to 8,000 basic, and with the upgrades, fully upgraded here, mine is now sitting at 25,600 enhanced, giving me a total of 33,600 storage, which is huge. These things will sit in a belt for a long time and mine to their heart's content. They have 1,000 engineering score, which means they are a lot faster to build platforms and outposts and things like that, and we've got a mining level here of basic 4. This now means that the X10 medium utility ship can mine asteroids of level 4 or below, so level 4, level 3, level 2 and level 1. Finally then, right at the top we have the X20 large utility ship. You'll see this thing is an absolute behemoth, slow, ponderous, flight speed there 250, warp speed is only 1250. These take a long time to go anywhere, but that storage is just humongous. A full-on 323,000 storage there. That takes a long time to fill up. We've got 3,500 engineering, which means it is going to build outposts and bases faster than any other ship, but it's going to take a long time to get there. And finally then, the mining level here takes you all the way up to level 6. So this will go through almost every single resource in the game quite happily. The only thing to note with these is that if you are trying to mine in a dense asteroid area, you can only use small and medium utility ships. The large utility ships, however, can go into radiation zones, which normally are only cruisers, battleships, that kind of thing. The large utility ships can mine resources in radiated zones as well. More about that bit though later on. So there we are, those are your 3 utility ships. You'll start off with just the X8. You've got the blueprints for all 3, but only the capability of building the X8. And if we have a look at the base upgrades under construction here, let's talk about how you actually upgrade into the others. So when you start your journey in Infinite Lagrange, obviously you are at base level 1. Here you can see that there is the utility ship dockyard on the right hand side. You'll need to build this in order to start building small utility ships, and upgrading it will increase the speed of repairing any of these if they get hit in combat and manage to escape, and it will reduce the build time. I don't find these particularly useful. That's why mine's only upgraded at 1 out of 5 here. Now you're going to be using those small utility ships for quite a while. Base level 2 doesn't change anything, base level 3 doesn't change anything here as far as the ships go. Once you hit base level 4, however, you get the confusingly named Large Utility Ship Dockyard. Confusingly named because the Large Utility Ship Dockyard affects how you can build medium utility ships. Yeah, I'm not sure why they've called it the Large Utility Ship Dockyard, but there it is. Again, building this, having one of these available on your station means that you will be able to build medium utility ships, and you'll be able to repair, and if you upgrade it, you'll be able to repair and build them that little bit faster. The large utility ships themselves are only available all the way down here at base level 8. The utility platform dockyard and the carrier dockyard all here. This is the one here that allows you to now build large utility ships. This is where mining really comes into its own and you start to massively ramp up. Before this, you'll find things kind of go in waves. You kind of start off with a whole ton of resources, then you start building your base and building your fleet, and suddenly you're, scraping every single piece of resource together in order to try and, to keep things flowing. Then just before you hit the medium ship upgrade, you'll find that you're strangling your resources and really struggling to actually do that. Then you'll get the medium ships and suddenly everything catapults forward again. You've got loads of resources, then it dies down. Once you start getting the large utility ships, this is where the game really calms down. You tend to find you've probably got a ton of resources now beginning to run spare. Now, as I've said before, this isn't the only thing that's useful in regards to actually, to doing this. First of all, you'll notice that the different utility ships have their own unique port as well. So if we come back out of here and go into our ship production, you'll see, if we just come back out to the top right there, resource port 320 at the top right there, resource port 320. Like with your standard fleets, you have a number of resource port points that can be allocated throughout your fleet. You can only build enough ships up to and including that point there. So then if we go into the ship production, into the capital shipyard, and scroll right the way to the bottom here, you'll see I've got mine maxed out. The small utility ships use 10 of those resource port points, the engineers, the medium utility ships use 20, and the large utility ships use 40, so they double each time. This means that when you basically get your medium utility ships, what you're likely to do is bring a lot of your small ones back, retire them, and then build a single medium utility ship in the meantime. The stats are better than double. So you kind of bring back 2 small utility ships, build 1 medium utility ship, send it back out mining. Then when you upgrade towards large utility ships, you bring back 2 of your medium utility ships, retire them, and build a large utility ship 1 at a time. Do it 1 at a time, for crying out loud. Don't bring your entire mining fleet back, retire all of it, and then try and build a load of ships. It's going to take you hours to actually achieve, and during those hours, you're going to have no mining going on whatsoever, which will absolutely crapshoot your entire your entire economy. So beyond that though, there are some other things that are worth noting in regards to upgrading. When we talk about the fact that there is a resource port there, you can increase those points by upgrading things here. So for example, the generic ports early on, upgrading those will increase both the military port command points and the industrial port command points, and that continues at base level 2 and base level 3 and base level 4. After this, they start to split apart. So at base level 5, it's only a military port that you upgrade, whereas at base level 6, it is the resource port here that you upgrade, and that can give you at level 5 industrial port command points of plus 60, all the way up. You can see here I am at base level 9 at the moment, and this is exactly what I meant, struggling to sort of meet those resources because everything's so big, although I'm not far off, and there is a way that I can push this over, as we'll talk about later. Now, that is the basics for building a fleet of mining ships and sending them out. Having done the tutorial, you should be well aware of how to actually send mining ships out onto a particular rock. You tap on the rock and you hit mine, and it'll tell you if you've got ships available, you can send them out as a fleet. What I do want to point out here is that there are some things that you can do to also improve the output of your mining. Now the first one of these, I'm going to jump over to this particular fleet here. I think it's this fleet. I hope it's this fleet. Let's have a look. Yes, it is this fleet here. My mining fleet, you'll see, isn't just a medium miner here. It's not just the medium utility ship. I've also added in an AC-721 heavy logistics destroyer. Now, I've mentioned these in previous videos. As combat vessels, they are utter trash. They don't do anything that is worth nearly the 8 command points that they take up. Like, I'd rather have two FG-300 standards than a heavy logistics destroyer here for 8 points, and it would be 2 points cheaper and probably 2 more damage in combat. But they do have a place in the game, and that is fleeted up alongside small, medium utility ships, because what this is now doing, it's basically giving me additional storage. Rather than just having one medium utility ship here with its full storage capacity, the heavy logistics destroyer has massive storage potential, and that medium utility ship's UAVs are basically offloading ores into that AC-721. So this, again, massively increases my yield. This means that the slow medium utility ship and heavy logistics destroyer drift out to this asteroid, they start mining it, and they're sitting here for a long time before they have to do the slow drift back, which means they've got a lot of cargo when they come back, and that is by far, you want to reduce the amount of time per cycle, basically, that you're actually traveling. So you try to harvest asteroids that are close to your base of operations rather than ones that are miles away, and you want to be sitting in that field for as long as possible. You want, basically, if you imagine it kind of like as a cycle pie chart, You want the travel time from base to asteroid and asteroid to base to be the smallest percentage of that pie chart. If you're traveling a lot longer than you are for mining, then you're not really doing it particularly well. And that is a great little tip there. So if you do have some port command points available for the military port, just sitting there, it is well and truly worth, I've come into the wrong thing, well and truly worth building a couple of those AC721 generic types. If we come in here and actually have a look, you see if we open up the basic stats there, they have 15,000 storage capacity, which is just huge for 8 points there of your military command points. Well worth it. It's going to help you an awful lot when it comes to mining. You'll notice when looking at my base as well that I don't just happen to have like this one base here, but next to it I've also got my advanced mining platform, and to the side of that is another advanced mining platform. So let's talk about mining platforms, what these are, what they do, and why you might be interested in building one of these. Well, in order to do so, I need to have a spare industrial ship of some kind. I've got a medium one here just because it's a nice basic starting point. I'm going to come over to here and we're going to have a look at these asteroids. Now you see this one's a level 6 crystal asteroid belt. That means it requires a large utility ship to mine. The one above it is a medium utility ship only, level 4. So if we tap somewhere in this area, we can tap on build. And here, in addition to outposts, I've got different mining platforms. There are 3 types: basic, intermediate, and advanced. So let's talk about these and what they do first of all. So a basic mining platform, as it says here, slightly increases mining speed within the construction operation. Anything that is within a 2x2 grid around the basic mining platform will be mined a little bit faster and give you more resources. It increases the mining yield within that, which is really, really useful. The intermediate mining platform, again, it has a sphere of influence of 2x2 on the grid, and it increases the mining speed within the construction operation, reduces the mining level of the resource nodes within the construction by 1. So if you've happened to have spotted some mining points nearby you that happen to be level 5, for example, you can build an intermediate mining platform over those, and it will reduce those down to mining level 4, meaning your medium utility ships will actually be able to harvest from them, despite the fact that normally a medium utility ship can only harvest from a level 4 or lower. It still is technically harvesting only from a level 4 or lower. You've just made the level 5 count as a level 4. Now the third and final type is the advanced mining platform, and these are the greatest thing in the entire game as far as I'm concerned for resource gathering. When you build one of these, not only does it greatly increase mining speed within the construction operation, it reduces the mining level of resource nodes within that operation by 2. It allows you can have 2 ships mining from the same ore, so you can have more ships in a smaller area. And it also, the ships no longer come back to your base. That's the key point here. If you have a look up here, you'll see that there are no little arrows coming out to these advanced mining platform ships. None of these ships are traveling to and from my base. They are traveling from the asteroids here. You can see this one actually at the top, traveling to and from here to that mining platform instead. Now this means that later on in the game, when you start to actually move around the battlefield a lot more around system, when you're relocating your base, I can relocate my base and leave these advanced mining platforms here. These ships will all continue to gather resources, and they, rather than having to fly all the way across to my base, they will dump them back here on this advanced mining platform. Now you'll notice here that I've actually got this one set up inside a dense scattered asteroid belt, which means in here I can only send through frigates, destroyers, and small and medium utility ships. I can't put large utility ships in here, but some of these resources in here are, for example, a level 6 crystal asteroid belt, and down here we've got some level 6 metal, that kind of thing. If you want to mine these, well, how do you mine a level 6 asteroid belt when you can't send in the ship that can mine level 6? I can only send in small and medium. Small and medium can only mine level 4 or lower. This is where the advanced mining platform comes in. It allows you to reduce the level of those belts by 2, so they go from level 6 down to level 4, and suddenly those medium miners can harvest them. So I've got those going there with their AC721 supports. And then over here, this one isn't in a scattered belt, so we've just got the large mining ships doing their thing. and mining away. And again, they will drop those off at that advanced mining platform, which is super, super useful. In fact, now that I've showcased this, let's actually send that miner back out here. This one doesn't have a support because I didn't have enough industrial points. You'll notice that it's not a return arrow. He'll go all the way out here, start mining from that level 2 crystal zone. In this case, it's actually a level 4, but it'll count as a level 2. I could send a small one out there actually to do it. But once it's filled up its cargo, it will drop it at the advanced mining platform rather than the base itself. And these things do look really cool. You can actually see all the cargo containers there filled with all of those juicy ores and minerals, etc. that I'm going to be using. Now, there are 3 different types of resources. I probably should have spoken about this bit earlier on in the video, but heck, here's just as good as any. There are 3 types of resource. There is metal, there is crystal, and there is deuterium, and you can see those here along the top. Now, you get these not only through just your operations, and when you send ships out and they do their mining and then they come back and drop it off. That's what operation yield there is. So, for example, my metal operation yield is 80,817 per hour. My crystal is 7,398 per hour, and my deuterium is 1,931 per hour. That's the operation, that's the actual ships themselves going back and forward and mining and dropping off. The union bonus is because I'm in a really cool union and we've got a lot of occupancy and we've got a few bonuses and that through the actions we've participated in on this server. You'll notice if you're part of a union, you do get an increase to your yields there. This is just passively generated. Even if I pull in all of my miners and I undock my base, I will still be earning that 17,000 per hour metal, the 2,010 per hour crystal, and the 240 per hour deuterium. It's not much, but it means theoretically, if you're not harvesting, you are still going to get those. The middle part here is the base yield. Now, this is a bit more of an interesting one. You'll see that my base here is actually docked to a level 6 metal asteroid. It's basically gathering resources on its own there. And if you're building outposts, which you've just seen on the other menu, you can obviously build these all over the place. I've got an outpost here built on a crystal asteroid, and if we actually have a tap on this little green icon here, it'll tell you that you get a docking bonus here when you actually dock to this. If I move my base onto this outpost, I will start gathering some crystal. And if we just have a look at some of the others that are around as well, let's actually just tap on an asteroid here. If I were to go to dock, it's going to tell me no available ship, but there we are, docking effect. Build on a docking point to acquire additional effect. Crystal production yield plus 2,000. That means if I were to bring my base here, if I were to build an outpost here and then dock my base to it, I'm going to be earning that 2,000 additional crystal per hour, which is pretty sweet. And in fact, I get an awful lot just out of my base there. It's mainly the metal, because obviously I'm on a level 6 metal asteroid. Whereas obviously if I was to dock, if I were to move my base here, my metal production would go down, but I'd be earning 3,350 per hour base yield there on crystal, just as an example. Now again, obviously if we jump back into construction, you need to have the abilities to actually do that. And there are a couple of different things about this. So first of all, if we go right the way to the top again, you're going to need the capability of building outposts. So we need to come all the way down to the Outpost Command Center at Tech Level 4. This allows you to build outposts which you can then build onto a particular, like an asteroid. You can then relocate your base once every 24 hours completely for free. If you're going a long distance away, do remember to recall all of your ships to your base first, otherwise they're going to have to do the long travel to wherever you've moved your base to. But basically, the Outpost Command Center there, once you get it to level 5, you can start building this to level 4 and below docking points, which is really useful early on because that will massively increase your yield as well. And as we go further along, you've got that's the Outpost Command Center. As we go further along, we'll get there in a second, we get the Mining Command Center. The Mining Command Center at Tech Level 6 allows you to build basic mining platforms. Build this, and you can build a basic mining platform, upgrade it to level 2, and you can build 2 basic mining platforms. Once we hit Tech Level 7, you can then go to the intermediate mining platforms with the Mining Research Center. Once we go all the way up to Tech Level 8, you have the Refining one here, which is now the ability to build advanced mining platforms. And once this is built and fully upgraded, you can build 2 advanced mining platforms like you've seen that I have. The Docking Command Center is then also very useful. This allows you to dock to level 6 and below asteroid points as well. So this is how I am now on a level 6 metal asteroid. those are well worth having and upgrading to be able to build those outposts, to relocate your base to get a good production yield, and to allow you to build those outposts at the mining platforms as well. Now, the final thing to really talk about here is in regards to how else you can get these resources, not just through mining. Well, the first one that's neatly tucked away here on this particular menu under Domestic Affairs is Resource Trade. Now again, we're going to have to jump into construction here and just showcase how you activate this, because you are going to need to have the trading center built and preferably upgraded, because there is an exchange ratio that increases the higher level the training is. Now, once you've got the trading center built, you can go down onto the bottom right here to Domestic Affairs and to Resource Trade. This then allows you to literally swap between the two. So we saw that I wanted an upgrade that's going to require 6 million metal. I've only got 5,000. Now, by the time I've finished my construction, I'm probably going to be at the 6,000. But just to showcase, if we tap on metal, which is the resource we want, we can then play around with these sliders. I've got a whole ton of crystal that I don't really need kicking around, so let's use a whole ton of that. And again, deuterium I don't really need as much as I have. So if we do that, I'm now swapping all of that crystal and all of that deuterium into metal. So if we have a look there again at Resource Trade, I'm now sitting at nearly 10 million on metal, but I have reduced my crystal and deuterium to account. It's a great little way there of just making sure that you have the resource that you need. You'll notice that where I'm mining, there's a lot of crystal and deuterium. There's not much in the way of metal. So I tend to just mine those and then trade for what I need. Now, speaking of trade as well, if you happen to have a particular ship out at a trade station here, you can view, you can tap on trade, and in addition to being able to buy certain ships, which I very rarely recommend to be honest, and weapon techs at the bottom, you can also buy resource packs, which come in small, medium, and large. Now, these are fairly expensive. I spent a lot of EU coins this morning on my my daily packs, so I haven't got much in here to spend. But a large resource pack, for example, 20,000 EU coins would get you 120,000 metal, 2,000 crystal, 1,400 deuterium. A medium resource pack for only 10,000 would get you 50,000 metal, 1,000 crystal, and 600 deuterium. So you see that ultimately it is better value to go for the bigger ones, you get a bit more for your buck, but again, I'm not hugely in support of these. I prefer to just mine and then trade. These to me are a little bit too expensive in regards to EU coins, but you might find that in a pinch that's a really useful way just to grab the last little bit of resource that you need in order to gather that. And there we have it. That is everything I think you need to know regarding mining and gathering minerals and resources. Make sure that you are upgrading your resource points as quickly as you can with that resource dockyard and all of that. You will occasionally need to upgrade your warehouses as well in order to make sure that you can actually store the materials you need. There are also a couple of plants that can be built onto your base, like the crystal electrolysis plant, the D20 plant and this kind of thing that will again increase your base yield per hour, which is pretty sweet and useful to have. But for the most part, the biggest tip I can give you is that early on you should be absolutely building a couple of AC721 generics to put alongside your miners. Make those into a fleet, one AC721 generic alongside one small or medium miner. Send it out to your belt. It will massively increase your production yield early on. Build and harvest under mining platforms where you can, even if it's just a basic one. The improvements there are so useful, but once you get advanced mining platforms, these are the greatest thing in the game. You can actually have these wherever the heck you fancy, and again, your base can be freaking miles away because it doesn't matter. They drop it off at the advanced mining platform. Anyway, that really does cover everything. Let me know if you think I've missed anything important out here, and let me know if this helps. You know, I love to chat with you guys in the comment section down below. I love getting a bit of feedback, what kind of information and topics you're confused about in Infinite Lagrange you'd like me to cover in future content. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching this one right to the end. Happy sailing, and see you in Infinite Lagrange!